Right, so this is just a small video about COVID. Right, so these are some of the pictures that I shared on my Facebook between 2020 and 2022. I was trying to wake people up to the scam, but I didn't really have that much luck. People are well and truly under the spell of propaganda. You're so fearful, and I'm going to go into a few of these pictures anyway. Now, you all saw the censorship and obviously the lies, the constant propaganda that was being made. You saw how crazy people were acting. This was all due to how fearful they were, and that's exactly what propaganda is designed to do. It's designed to get people into a fearful state, which then detaches them from reality. Once you can detach people from reality by emotionally manipulating them, you can make them believe anything. Right. So, so these are some of the pictures that I've shared. So what I want you to do, you can copy them if you want, you can screenshot them and keep them for yourself, and share them around. But right, I'm going to get into a bit of details. Like, after 2 years of this deadly pandemic, I didn't know any friends, any family members, any co-workers, or anybody that even lived on my street out of the thousands of people to die from COVID. None of them became seriously ill, none of them died. Yet most people believed that it was a deadly pandemic. I always remember that scene from Monty Python, the "Bring out your dead! Bring out your dead!" If that happened during COVID down our street, there'd be no bloody bodies on it. So most people believe things because of the television tells them so. Right. So I didn't know anybody to die or become seriously ill from COVID. Yet this poke in the arm that they offered us, I didn't know people to have side effects from that. Obviously, I wasn't going to take it myself, but I knew people that had bad side effects. It's probably mostly skin conditions which people seem to develop. Like, I know my sister got this from eczema, my cousin got this massive eczema all over the bodies, pretty much. So they're still getting tricked for that now. And that was like shortly after taking the jab. My auntie got a blood clot on her lung. Had to be hospitalised just before she went on holiday. Again, that was serious illness. My neighbour across the street died of a heart attack less than a week after getting his jab. Obviously, this is all coincidence according to our media, our propaganda service. The media is just a brainwashing tool for the government. Most people believe that they're independent. They're not independent. It's all by making everyone believe that they're independent. It makes more people inclined to believe them. If people knew that all the media was just the government's platforms, if everyone knew that they were run by the government, nobody would believe them as much. Well, I don't think anyway. So I'm going to go through some of these pictures now, just reminding me now. Now, do you remember the doctors and nurses doing all these choreographed dance routines? I don't know if you remember that from the beginning of the pandemic or the scamdemic. They were all doing these dance routines and people were clapping along and cheering them. I'm like, why are you clapping them and cheering them? Have they really got that little to do that they have time to choreograph dance routines? And then you got these measures that were put into place that anybody with a cold had to get a test. So the problem with the test was it took 3 days to get the results. So the average person probably has about 5, maybe 6 colds a year, maybe more. I'm not actually sure the figure myself. So every time somebody got a little cold, they had to get a test. Then they were off work for 3 days, which this created a massive shortage of staff in the NHS, which was deliberate. And doing this in winter, when you've already got influenza and pneumonia, things like that, it's going to cause problems. But obviously that year they changed influenza and pneumonia. They called it a different name, COVID. They took a regular virus, changed the name of it, and everyone believed there was something new and something deadly going on. But anyway, when you get into what COVID is, it's a coronavirus, and anybody who knows the science behind a coronavirus knows you cannot vaccinate effectively against it. Yet this was pushed onto people. And one thing I want to actually point out about most people as well is they have blind belief in whatever they say. And I was speaking to somebody not too long ago. He was saying that he didn't have blind belief. So I asked him. I said, "So how many people are there in the UK?" And he said 65 million. I said, "What's the precise number of the people in the UK?" And then he was like, then he went onto his phone. He got the precise number from the government, and he recited it back to me. And I basically said to him, like, does he know that figure's true? And he said, yes, it's definitely true. And I said, well, how do you verify this figure? And the answer is you cannot possibly verify this figure. So if I wanted to create a fake pandemic, obviously we see there's no piles of bodies anywhere around us. There's nothing indicating in the real world that there's a pandemic going on. But the television says so, and the government. So how do you fake this? Simple. You can just fake the numbers, can't you? I could add 100,000 people into the census record one year and take them out the next, said they all died of a mysterious virus, and nobody can possibly verify it to be incorrect. It's just what I'm saying is, like, in that case, the guy has blind belief. He has blind belief that these figures are right. He cannot verify whether they are right himself, but he just blindly believes. And anybody who looks in the world around them, there's all loads of brainwashed people scared out of their minds, wearing masks and staying like 6 feet away from each other. But you didn't see any bodies, and it's very rare you heard of anybody you knew actually becoming seriously ill or dying. I didn't know a single person in 2 years of this deadly pandemic. And I often heard stories like, "Oh, do you see paper? Somebody died from it in the next village along." Like, in the paper, brilliant. Yes, that's in a state propaganda outlet. I like this meme as well. But obviously, so my opinions on this, you know my opinions on this scamdemic. I'm just going to share some more of these pictures with you. I was going to say something else, but I'm doing this off the top of my head, and I cannot remember what I was going to say. One of these pictures might remind me. This is very true. This one is. I'm thinking about sharing these memes online. In the UK, we have freedom of expression, but we do not have technically freedom of speech, which means that I could be arrested for any of this, because all the government would have to do is say that, oh, it's misinformation, and then they could arrest me for it. It doesn't matter how much evidence you collect as well. They can deem anything they want misinformation and then have you arrested for it and threatened. We don't have this luxury of freedom in this country, so you have to be very careful. Obviously, if you just make sure it's clear that it's your opinion, then they can't really do anything about it, and you can then share your facts. Yeah, right, this is a pretty truthful one as well. Everyone knows that this sort of stuff happens. Thing is, people like this one here, it shows them all being like giving each other money, but the reality is they're actually all part of the same cult together. Now, this is another meme here. This is what I shared here.